middle of January. I'm sick of Quality Street. Hey everyone, it's Tony for eModels.co.uk. Don't worry, you're not going happy daft. I've actually put a green screen at the back because hopefully there's some kind of special effects thing going on in the background right now. I'll stop that and yeah, back to the green screen. Welcome to part 2 of the Tamiya 1/12 scale Valentino Rossi and stand kit for the Yamaha YZR M1. Oh, I tell you what, that's a mouthful and a half. So as we left off last time, we were in the middle of sorting out that base and getting it sorted out. We've done the bike conversion. I think we did the rebuild of the bike, ready for the stand. Which you can see now, we've added all kinds of shadowy and skid marky type effects and stuff like that for when we actually add that to the flip over standy bit. So there's all kinds of movement in there now, rather than it just being a solid grey lump. So sit back, relax, hopefully I'll be able to teach you how I did that, and hopefully it'll make sense, because it's me, nothing makes sense. Okay, primer's dried. So I'm just going to take a really dark grey, which is from the Vallejo Model Air range. Already pre-thinned for you, the grey. We're going to go with the 71054, which is RLM 74 for those of us that know the German RLM numbers. And it's basically a really dark grey. What we're going to do is a little bit pre-shading. So you literally just drop that into your cup. Helps it for show you, doesn't it? Literally just squeeze that into your cup. Well, that's quite bizarre. I'm watching that in the side screen here, instead of I'll drop that everywhere. And then, like we do normally, just give it a little bit of a black bastard. It's a bit goofy, isn't it? As you can see, spray's lovely. So what we're going to do is the bike will be facing this way forward. And we just want to put a couple of racing lines on. Now it's tilted over this way, so it's coming around this kind of bend, which is counterintuitive. Yay, I got it right. Counterintuitive to what we're actually doing there, but get the dribbles away. It's a bit too thin. We're basically just going to put shadow lines in. So we start heavy at the front, because obviously you're locking up and things like that. Don't worry if we get this wrong, which no doubt I am. There's all kinds of bikists now screaming at the TV going, no, that's wrong. And just blend those away, so we're pulling a little bit further back with the airbrush, just going that way, like so. So it's just little shadows and things like that. There we go. So it's nice and dark, and what we're going to do now is go over that with a really wet layer of a lighter grey, because roads are different colours anyway, even though the tarmac and things like that, it's got little flecks in it, and it's not all one uniform colour. If you look at it closely, it looks like it's a really dark grey, a really light grey, or whichever shade of asphalt they've used and which combination they've used it in. But if you look at it closely enough, you'll see different shades where the little lumps are that make the stuff up. So that's pre-shading done. We'll let that dry for about, I don't know, we'll give it half an hour and check on it and see what's happening. So let's paint the base. Oh, can you stop it? So in the airbrush we're going to do quite a wet mix of a light grey, well, medium grey paint. I'm going to go with the RAF Ocean Grey 2, which is XF82 from Tamiya. And we're going to do quite a wet mix. Now I'm going to do this by eye. I'm going to go roughly, I don't know, 60% thinners to 40% paint. So it's going to be quite runny. Let's get that final shape. Yesterday I have stirred it. So I'm actually doing that by eye, just off to the side here. If it helps you to use pipettes, then please, please, please do so. I've been using airbrushes for years, and I can do that now just by sight. So I'll give that a quick stir. Now, it is quite a light grey compared to how tarmac looks normally. It's not quite thin enough. That just throw some more thinners in. And this little top thing is actually from a bottle of... No, don't pull your airbrush off the table, Tony. Crikey. It's actually the bottle top off one of these. Hang on, there's the spare one. It fits perfectly on the X20A bottles. It's a great little trick, I learnt that a few years back. So let's give that another stir off to the side. Just on the side of the colour cup, there we go, that's a bit better. Just testing the run of the paint. So that's actually quite transparent. So we need that transparency to show the pre-shading through. On the basey standy thing. Yeah, a quick squiggle off to the side here. Paint's coming through, solid, is it? There we go, there's a paint. Why are you hissing and splattering? You've been cleaned. Yeah, we'll go with it anyway, just to see what's what. So I'm going to stay quite far back from the piece itself, because I actually want the paint to dry on the way down to add a little bit of texture to the piece. I'm just going to build up very light coats. So we need this to be quite transparent to show the pre-shading through. And this way it's not just one lump of boring grey plastic. Just catch that edge there as well as we go around. We want these little tonal variations as well. So we stay quite far away because we want the texture as well as the paint dries on the way down, so it'll feel quite gritty on the surface. And that's actually going to help us out. So trust me, as ugly as that looks right now, that's actually what I'm after. So there's also a couple of different techniques we can do to this now. One of them being post shading. So if I grab, I don't know, a really dark colour. Let's go with rubber black. And this is genuinely being made up as I go along. Go with some rubber black. Grab a pipette. Now I've got in there, I was actually about to start cleaning the airbrush, and I've thrown in some X20A just to get rid of the XF82 that we've just been using. So it's just a squirt. As you can see, there's a good couple of mil in there. I've got a bubble. Don't want bubble. Go away, bubble. So it's still quite a grotty mix because we've still got the XF85 in there. So I'm literally just going to add a handful of drops to that. Nothing spectacularly major or anything like that. And then drop some on my arm at the same time, just off camera. Magic. There's my rag, there's my rag. Yay! Yeah, I'll leave that one in for you. So it's like a really, really snotty, gooey, transparent mix. And this is post shading. And basically what we're going to do now is the pre-shading that we've done already, and you can still just about make out, we're just going to emphasise that with a quick dust over of this stuff. So just blow up the nozzle, blow some air back in, get some bubbles going, like so, just to give it agitation. And you can probably see it drying there on the cardboard already. and it flashes back. And depending on how much you put on there, it actually fades a little bit, and we actually want that. So it's a really, really transparent layer. As you can see, it's mostly thinners. So I'm just going to go on a couple of lines. Just going to emphasise both shading, pre-shading even, that we've already done. So it's really thin. Just build it up like that. Just put them over here. So now just emphasise the skid marks a little bit. Stop giggling. So there's a couple of lockups and things like that, so it's just an extra layer of interest. So again, we'll lay that to dry. I'll carry on cleaning up my airbrush now that I've done that. Got that out of my system. Once this is dry, we'll give that a gloss varnish, and then we'll add some oil paints on it as well, just to break up the grey. Cool. Whilst I'm waiting for the gloss varnish to dry, my new gimbal has turned up, my new heavyweight gimbal for the new camera. That is the exact same type of gimbal that I'm already using at the moment, which is this flimsy little thing, which just can't take the weight of this new camera. Look at the size of that! It's madness! The only thing is, the adapter for that hasn't turned up yet. So you can see it's a 1/4 inch / 20, I don't know, screw thing hole, and that one's a 3/8 inch. So the adapter screw hasn't turned up yet. There's a little screw that goes in there. It's fantastic. Look at the size of it! It's huge! So hopefully that'll take the weight of the new camera. Should do anyway, it's a professional one. Professional. And apparently my table's not level. It's got spirit level bubble and the table's not level. Interesting. Okay, so for artist oil paints, now you could use artist oil paints, or you can do what I've done and shift that and buy the Mick Productions weathering sets. I've got the German Armour weathering set, I've got the Urban Decay set as well. So it's like, yeah, if you're able to afford it, that's not oil paint, that's filler. And I've got more. If you're able to afford it, buy the weathering kits, because they are slightly. Yeah, I've still got more. Hang on. I've still got more. Hold on. Actually, that's not weathering. That's not weathering. Well, that's a different company. But if you can afford to get the weathering sets, get them, because it does work out slightly cheaper in the long run. Hang on, one more. So I've got all those to choose from. Well, it does work out slightly cheaper, like I say. There's all sorts in there. Brilliant. Just throw all them back in the toolbox. I've actually got one of those metal filing cabinet things from the Swedish furniture shop, just off camera. Hold on. Oh. That thing there, where I keep all my paints and stuff. So, bog standard artists oils, and we're going to add a filter to this to stop it being a boring grey lump. But enough about me. A squish of yellow, a squish of red. Ooh, that's a bit goopy. So these are just generic primary colours. And a squish of blue. Primary colours. And we'll throw in. Should we throw some white in? No, not now. Not for now. So, one of these little smelly pot things that your better half may or may not have smelly candles in. Made of plastic or something like that. I was actually a brand, but I don't think I'm allowed to say who the brand was. So it's advertising and things like that. So, a little pipette and some odorless thinners that, yes Mike, I have spilt very recently. So don't need a huge amount, just a little squirt. Oh, we weren't there, did we? And you can see it's very recently spilt as well, because it's yes, the bottle's still wet. Let me take care of that. Oh. So yeah, as I was preparing for this part, I spilt it, which is why this is down, because there's still shine where it's all wet on my mat. Yeah, I know. I can hear you laughing from here. I can. Stop your nonsense. So, I've actually got separate my oil paint brushes from my acrylic brushes, which are over there. So that's all my acrylic brushes over in that corner there. So I'll keep all these separate because acrylics and oils and things like that don't often mix very well together, which is why we've used a gloss varnish to seal in the acrylics. So I just need quite a wide brush, so it's a chisel edge because we've got a big flat surface and a big narrow edge. Does that make sense? Like a chisel. A smaller one, and then just a generic brush for scooping up the paint. So I'll just get my rag again. Off to the side there like that. So taking the wide chisel brush and our thinners, like I said, there's not a huge quantity in there. Literally just going to take most of the excess off and then just wet the area first. He says. So this is just going to slick everything, which makes the next step a little bit easier for us. So a little bit wet, and then we put that off to one side because we don't need that one anymore. Like that. And then we take box standard little brushy thing like that, and then literally I'm just going to dot on some yellow, completely at random, like so. Take the excess off onto the brush, and this is the beauty of oils. The playtime you get with these is so long. It's ridiculous. That's possibly a bit too much. That wasn't enough on that dot. There we go. So completely at random. Up there. Wipe away the excess. So this is a filter that we're doing now. So like I say, it's just going to change the flavour of everything. We dotted that in the big puddle then. So a couple of dots of blue just to cool it all down again, because the red and the yellow are going to be quite warm. So at this stage you're thinking, oh my god, what's he doing? He's ruining that. No, trust me. Trust me. And for anybody who's building armour at the moment, let's get a bit of blue up there as well, or builds armour in general and haven't used this technique, it just stops a big green block. In this case it's grey, but if you build it in a tank, it stops a big green block being a big green block, and you just add little tonal variations here and there just to distract your eye away. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So not huge quantity again on the brush, and we're literally going to go with the direction of flow. Let me just figure this out, because that's where the back's facing that way. Yep, back's facing that way, so direction of travel, we're going forward, so we want streaks going backwards, like so. So hopefully you're seeing that all that's blending away together, and you literally just keep working at it now. So we could possibly do with some more up in this corner here. As it all fades away, what it'll do is it'll actually slightly discolour everything we've done so far. It just adds a bit more interest. Just try to brush off it a little bit on the towel at the side of me. And just use slightly longer strokes. Excuse me for frog in my throat. And there we go. So you won't be able to tell anyway right now because it's too shiny, like that. But we're going to leave that to dry now overnight, and I'll come back to that roughly in 24 hours time, because I've got work in the morning and stuff like that, so it's going to be roughly 24 hours when we get to see this again. So put that nice and safe off to the side somewhere, Like I say, if you're building a tank or anything like that, or even planes, especially larger scales, just run some oil paint over the top. Like I say, gloss varnish it first, because that'll protect the paint from underneath, but it also gives us a slippy surface that we can work with. So just run some odorless thinners over the top, very gently, just slicking it a little bit. You don't need huge amounts of it. A couple of dots of paint like that, just dot it all over, and then wet your brush again, or wet a separate brush. And so we use that one first to slicking everything off, and then we've used this one to do all the blending. Dead quick, dead easy, and it just stops everything being a big grey lump. Well, I can see now, it's still the same clip at the moment as well. I can actually see red coming through here. It's brilliant. So a big grey lump isn't a big grey lump anymore, it's actually got some flavour to it. Quick and easy. Old school, we like old school. Alright, I'll have the camera running for this one just in case I do spill it this time. So, a little pipette, get a clean one, that'll help. Little pipette into the turps that I keep spilling off camera. Nearly did it again then. Just there, just that shot. I think I reached time. Can we go play cricket now? I want to go play cricket. I'm good at cricket, I think. Am I? I can't remember. I've done this job before. I'm sure I have. Stop me from repeating myself. Watch it. Right. So, almost the same procedure that we did yesterday. Do beg your pardon. I'm blowing into a glove just off camera so I can get my hand in like that. I think I put all my oil paints away. Yep, I did. So we're going to take some of the... Yeah, why not? Let's change the flavour a little bit. So I'll grab the oil paint brushes again. So we've got the big two... Hang on. The two big wide ones. And we'll get a fairly decent sized one. So we're going to get a couple of blobs out, and then, ooh, that's what you can do as well. With the stuff that you've not used up, give it a squish like that. It's great. So I'm just going to find another little poly bag. Bear with me. I'll stop. Are you finished? Okay. Oh, I'll get him yet. Oh well, I'll get him yet, right. So, that's the things I have to put up with. Just using the bog standard oil paints again. Artist oil paints. Off to the side, we have crimson, was it crimson red or cadmium red? Cadmium red I think it was, green and blue. So it's just like the two primary colours, and then obviously a secondary colour. Secondary, use your thing. Yeah, I know. I've got qualifications in art and everything. Right, so just remind myself of which way this base is going now, because it's been a day, and yeah, it's me. Things fall out of my head all the time. One of those days in work today. Nothing was going right, that's all. Okay, so that's the curvy bit. Back's facing forward. So, just put that brush down there for a second. So we'll get the big wide brush, and we'll orientate ourselves properly. So we've got direction of flow, so the bike's facing forward that way. Direction of flow will be this way. So just stabilise that a little bit more, like so. So we want to come across again in the direction of flow. Knocking a tube of paint over off camera. So this time we're just going to concentrate in smaller areas. So we're going to wet everything anyway. What this will do is the stuff that we added yesterday, it'll just help blend that a little bit as well. So we'll now get like a secondary blending on the first blending we did. That makes sense. knock your brush into your paint off camera. Yeah, so we've got green everywhere now, so we'll just go with the green. So again, it's literally just dot some paint on. Oh, we've got red and green together. Magic. So random dots all over the place, get some blue. Random dots again. But this time, instead of wetting the brush in the thinners again, like we did last night, oh, sorry, the previous clip, possibly a bit too big, but we'll see what happens. The best thing about oil paints as well is if this doesn't go right and we don't like what we're doing, you literally wet a rag in odourless thinners, wash over the top, and it comes away. It's great stuff. And that's the huge advantage you get over acrylics when you're using oils. It's not permanent until you decide it's permanent and you leave it to dry. If that makes sense. So if we do make anything, we don't make mistakes, we make happy little accidents that we don't quite like, kind of thing, and then yeah, we can erase it with a bit of thinners. So completely dry brush, as you can see on the back of my hand, completely dry. Oh. Toot. So we're going to start at the front and then work back through this. And you should see now streaks appearing. Now at the moment, yes, it's all random patterns of colours. But what we're after now, that streaking effect that we're getting, it's going to add a little bit of flavour to the grey, so it's not just one great big block. I don't know if you can make out on the brush itself, we're getting some of the colours mixing together now. So we'll get blues, purples, and some odd colours as well. So we'll flip back around and have a quick look at how that's going. Hopefully you'll see streaks of red and blues and things like that. Now we can pretend that that is debris on the track and things like that, because obviously there's going to be oil spills and things, all kinds of things. Let's add a couple of swirls in just to imply a corner as well. So it's really light. Like I say, it just breaks up the colour so it's not just one great big grey lump. So I'll add some swirls in. Like I say, just to replicate the curve. I don't know if the camera will pick that up because it's too wet again. So we'll leave that now for definitely 24 hours. So it's what? It's 7:30 now. So I'll come back again 7:30 on Tuesday evening. So it's Monday now, come back Tuesday evening. We'll have a quick look at that. That'll all be dry. And hopefully we should be able to seal that in. Hopefully it'll be dry enough that we can seal it in with a gloss varnish again. Or will we? We might use mattes. We might, depending on how it looks. If I'm happy with it, I'll seal it in with a matte varnish just to dull it down. Otherwise, like I say, if you have a gloss varnish, it's like that. It's like a wet road. If you want a wet road, gloss varnish it. If you don't want wet road, obviously matte it. But like I say, we can tackle that when we get there. So 24 hours doing its thing. In the meantime, I'll work on the figure, which you'll see in another episode. It's confusing how all this works, you know. I've got to try and edit all this. So 24 hours later, I don't know if you can make this out. You should be able to see it's still shiny in the corner there where I haven't done any oil paints, but the rest of it has gone slightly matte because we've planted oil paints around. So what I'm going to do now, because the skid marks, stop giggling, no, I'm talking to myself when I say that as well, because I've got a little inner 8-year-old saying skid marks. They've actually faded because of the oil paints we put over the top. I'm not too sure if you can make that out because it's been hiding. I can't seem to get this right. It doesn't look right on my screen. In here, yeah. So I'm going to gloss varnish that again and then do one final step, which is just bring these skid marks back in. This time I'll do this with an oil paint, which will be some kind of dark colour. So we'll get the gloss varnish on first and then we'll worry about the colour in a minute. I'm looking for my black. I can't find my black. That's engine grease. There's my black. There's my black. Right. I don't know. So we're going to have black don't have a dark grey, I don't think. What's that one? Talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes and I'll try to find my my dark snotty colours. I'm not going to use Starship Filth this time. I know, shocker. What's that one? That's Faded Grey. I'll have that one out. So, if you're able to afford it, or you're in a position to do so, things like that, grab a couple of those sets that Merc Productions do for these Abteilung paints. You can't say it without sounding like Richard Hammond either. Abteilung. Good old hamster. Oh, Industrial Earth. That's an intriguing colour. Don't think I've used that one yet. Oh! So this is from the... Ooh, I do like that. That's a dirty little colour. Right. Let's have a look at that in a minute. Taxi's here. So, pop the rest of these back. So that's from the Urban Weathering set too, if I remember rightly. So grab yourself a couple of these. In the long run they do work out slightly cheaper than if you bought all these individually. So I've got the German Armour set. Oops, try that one. Got the German Armour set, I've got the Urban Weathering set too. And then each month I'll buy a couple as I'm going along, just to build up the supplies. Now you will pay slightly more for these than you will with ordinary artist oils. These are actually purposely designed for model making. Oh, that's a horrible shine. The pigment is finer, so when they're actually producing the pigment to start with, they grind this a lot finer. And for model making you'd need that finer grit so you can actually get in there properly. Sorry, I'm looking for my brush. There we go. So you can get in there properly and smear it around, whereas this stuff, the grit's a little bit heavier. And even though they look the same kind of smoothness, if that's even a word, there we go. This one's a lot smoother to work with than this one is. This one's slightly grittier as you're working with it. They'll do the exact same job. You just need to work a little bit extra with the ordinary artist oils. Terrible explanation, I do apologise. So, we'll get this, hopefully that's dry by now. It's had an hour. Yep, dry. Lovely. Lovely, 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 lovely. So, again, keep your oil brushes separate from your acrylic brushes. It just saves with the clean up and what have you. And I'm going to use a bit of an older brush as well. I use this one for dry brushing. You can see the bristles on it are well used by now. That brush, believe it or not, started off like this one. And this one's heading the same direction because of this is more of a blending brush than the dry brushing brush. That made more sense in my head. I'm having one of those days today. Genuinely, I'm having one of those days. Everything I was saying in work today was just like rubbish. So I'm going to take the dry brushing brush. I'm just going to see what that's like. That's lovely and faded. You stop rolling in. Ooh, let's do that over the white bit. I can get a better idea what that colour looks like. Okay, so that's what it says, it's a faded grey. So, just take a little bit extra off the brush. I'm just going to bob in just there. Hang on, let's think of the direction of flow. So the front of the bike's that way. So this time we're not actually going to use any terps or odourless thinners to blend this now. We're actually going to dry brush this now over a gloss varnish. And just basically we're going to put a couple of highlights in, which will emphasise the shadows that we're working with. Take the excess off again. And what we're trying to achieve now is the sense of motion. So it really doesn't matter if we're not using fine lines or straight lines or anything like that. We're after that sense of this thing's belting around a corner. or if we pose it standing upright, it's belting, you know, down the straight. So I'm just going to try and get one in there as well. So if I'm scraping across the cardboard, that's going to sound shocking in the audio. So you can see I'm literally just throwing the paint on there. I'm not thinking about it, I'm just acting instinctively. And if you are new to the hobby and you're looking at this kind of thing straight away and you're thinking, oh God, I wish I could do that. A couple of years ago, I was at the same stage. I was sat there watching videos, especially my incredibly talented friend, the incredibly talented Fox, the model making guru, watching him do his oil paint work, and I'm thinking, I wish I could do that. And he said, just gave me one piece of advice. Get yourself a set of these, take them out of the box, throw the box away, and keep these out. Otherwise they'll just sit in your drawer and you'll never use them. Best piece of advice anybody's ever given me. Second piece of advice he gave me was close your eyes, take a deep breath, open your eyes, and just throw it on. And as you can see, I'm actually mixing the black with the faded grey on the cardboard. See what kind of shade that's making. I'm literally winging this. None of this is planned. We'll throw some of that on as well. You don't have to do this. This is my personal choice. This is something I want to try anyway, just to see what it looks like. And why not? Let's have some fun. Let's get some more shadow on there. Yeah. There is absolutely no rule written down anywhere saying that the stuff we're doing here has to be followed by the letter on the instructions. Yeah. The instructions tell me to paint this German grey. German grey is just a big blob of colour. That's the industrial earth, by the way. Lovely snotty dark brown colour. I'll mix that in with the black a little bit as well. Yeah, so there's nothing written down anywhere saying you must stick to what the instructions tell you to do. Ooh, I do like that colour. Ooh, I've got a new favourite colour. So I'll move that down a little bit further back like that. So there we go. And obviously if you don't want to do this step, then leave this step out. It's not a problem. You do not have to follow this video to the letter that I'm doing. Let go, you're an artist. See what you fancy. Have some fun with it. So, we're still on the gloss varnish. Taking that dry brush now and make sure that it's completely dry. No terps or thinners or anything like that whatsoever. Just going to blend across the top of these dark streaks just to thin them down a little bit. Just to blend the colours together. There we go, just fade them out a little bit. Just brings a bit of life into it. There we go. Downside of this now is we're going to have to leave that for at least 2 days. I've used it sparingly, but it's going to be a 2-day drying time now, at least. Possibly as many as 4. That's the downside. But the beauty is, I've still got a couple of hours to decide whether I like that or not, and I can take it off with odorless thinners if I don't like that, and we can go straight back to the layer underneath, which is the gloss varnish. So it's not a huge problem. That's the advantage over over acrylic paints. So if you want a bit of blending time and you want to be able to move things around for a couple of hours, use oil paints. If you want it to stick there and then, use acrylics. That's the general rule. Both got the pros, both got the cons. Get a lump of plastic, paint it. One of the things I used to do a few years back, whilst I was learning airbrush and learning a few of these techniques myself, I used to get bits of card like this, completely cover it in like a gesso, an artist gesso, or something like that, or just prime it with rattle can primers, the blacks and greys and whites and things like that. And then you've got a canvas then, a mini canvas, cheap and cheerful. Yeah. This box was actually one that eModels sent me when they sent this bike kit out. Yeah. Keep the box, cut it down, you've got free pallets. You've got free canvases. Use them. Have a play. That's the best part about the hobby. There is always something to learn. There is always new tricks to be found. Dig in. Give it a go. It's fantastic. Once you start doing this kind of thing as well, you'll stop saying, I wish I could do that, and oh, I can do this. It's a brilliant feeling, it really is. So, pop that off for 2 days to dry. Hopefully you can see in the light where the dull patches are now. There we go, that's a beautiful shot. Oh, I'm getting good at this artsy, fancy stuff. So that's where the oil paints have gone down, so we'll leave that. And then we'll matte varnish that. Let's see, because at the moment when the light catches it, it looks like a puddle. So we don't want that, so we'll matte varnish that in, like I say, 2 days time, something like that. And so there we go. That's the base done. Just need to ride it now, which we will be doing in part 3. So join me then, and I'll bumble my way through it like I normally do, and all of a sudden, it's done. In the meantime, bob along to see, I'll do my job now. Sorry Peter, I'll do my job. Bob along to see my mates at eModels.co.uk, shift that. Everything you've seen me use so far is available from them, apart from Starship Filth. Don't even get me started on that one because, yeah, Starship Filth, it's never in stock anywhere. But everything else you've seen me use so far is available from them, apart from the oil paints as well, the artist oils. You can't get them from there because that's artist oils, they don't do artist oils. Everything else is available from there. Other than that, if they don't sell it, you don't need it. That's the general rule of thumb. Bob along, tell them I said hi. Bring them cheesecake and things like that. I believe they like donuts. Take some donuts as well. I'll see you in part 3. Take care guys.